When the future feels impossible, when you can't imagine living like this for years, when the weight of forever is crushing you, don't think about forever. Just think about today. Can you make it through? Can you make it to bedtime? Can you make it through the next hour, the next 10 minutes? Because here's what happens when you string together enough one more. You wake up 6 months later and realize you're still here and something has shifted. Maybe the pain is slightly more manageable. Maybe you found a new treatment that helps. Maybe you connected with others who actually get it. Maybe you started therapy and it's working. Maybe nothing externally changed, but you changed. You got stronger. You learned to carry the weight. Or maybe nothing changed at all, but you survived it. And that counts for everything. If you're listening to this right now and you've thought about not being here anymore, I need you to know something before we go any further. I'm glad you're still here. I don't know how you made it through yesterday. I don't know what it took for you to wake up this morning, but you did. And that matters more than you know. Welcome back to Painfully Real. In today's episode, we're going to talk a little bit about when living feels impossible and choosing tomorrow. And I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to tell you everything gets better or that pain makes you stronger or that there's some beautiful reason for your suffering. But I am going to tell you this. The version of you 5 years from now, the one who's still here, who's learned to carry this weight differently, who's found moments of peace you can't imagine right now. That person is grateful you stayed. So let's talk about the one thing no one wants to talk. Suicidal thoughts when you're living with chronic pain, invisible illness, trauma, or the aftermath of service. And why choosing to stay might be the most rebellious, powerful thing you ever do. Let me share some numbers that should shake us all awake. Every year, nearly 50,000 Americans die by suicide. That's one person every 11 minutes. People with chronic pain are twice as likely to experience suicidal thoughts and 4 times more likely to attempt suicide than the general population. But here's where it gets even more critical. Veterans die by suicide at a rate of 1.5 times higher than non-veterans. That's approximately 17 veterans per day, 17 families destroyed, 17 futures erased every single day. Men die by suicide at a rate 3.5 times more than women. Not because men suffer more, but because men are less likely to talk about it, less likely to seek help, and more likely to use lethal means. What connects all of these statistics? Pain. And it's not just physical pain, though it's often part of it, but the pain of invisible wounds, the pain of feeling misunderstood, the pain of losing who you used to be, the pain of fighting battles no one else can see. So if you've thought about ending your life, you're not alone. You're part of an epidemic. And epidemics require collective response, not shame, not silence, but action, support, and radical compassion. You're not broken. You're not weak. You're a human being who's been pushed past what anyone should have to endure. And your brain is desperately searching for a way to make that pain stop. But here's what I need you to understand. Those thoughts, they're symptoms. They're not truth. They're your pain talking, your exhaustion talking, your nervous system in complete overwhelm talk. They're not you talking. Let's talk about something that's killing men by the thousands every year. The lie that asking for help makes you weak. Here are the facts. Men die by suicide at a rate 3.5 times higher than women. Middle-aged men account for nearly 70% of all suicide deaths. And veteran men die by suicide at rates even higher than their civilian counterparts. Why? Because from the time we're boys, we're taught a deadly equation. Real men don't cry. Real men don't complain. Real men handle their problems alone. Real men don't go to therapy. That's for people who can't handle life. Research from the American Psychological Association shows that traditional masculine norms, the pressure to be self reliant, emotionally stoic, and physically tough, are directly correlated with increased suicide risks. For those of you who've served, whether military, first responders, law enforcement, healthcare, or any role where you've been trained to be strong for others, this pressure multiplies tenfold. You've been trained to push through, to be tough, to never show weakness, to complete the mission no matter what the cost, to be the protector, the provider, the one who has it all together. That mindset saves lives in combat, but it can destroy lives when you come home. You're trained to be the one who saves others. So when you're drowning, asking for help feels like betraying everything you were taught to be. It feels like admitting you're not man enough, strong enough, tough enough. But here's the truth they don't teach you. The strongest men are the ones who survive. And sometimes survival means asking for back. Think about it this way. If your battle buddy was struggling, if your son was in crisis, if your best friend told you they were thinking about ending their life, would you call them weak? Would you tell them to man up? No, you'd move heaven and earth to get to them. You'd tell them that asking for support is the bravest thing they could do. So why don't you deserve the same compassion you'd give them? Here's what actual strength looks like. Strength is admitting when you're not okay. Strength is walking into a therapist's office even though everything in you says this is weak. Strength is taking medication for your mental health the same way you'd take it for diabetes. Strength is telling your wife, your kids, your friends, I'm struggling, I need help. General Martin Dempsey, former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, said, we must remove the stigma associated with seeking mental health care. Our service members need to understand that seeking help is a sign of strength, not weakness. And Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, one of the most popular actors and WWE guys on the planet, has spoken openly about his battles with depression and how therapy saved his life. So if you're a man struggling right now, whether you're a veteran, a father, a husband, a provider carrying the weight of your family, hear me. Going to counseling doesn't make you weak. It makes you wise. Talking about your pain doesn't make you soft. It makes you human. Asking for help doesn't mean you failed. It means you're still in the fight. The real enemy isn't weakness. It's the stigma that tells you seeking help is weakness. And it's time we killed that enemy once and for all. Let me tell you about some research that might change your perspective. Research on suicide attempt survivors published in the New England Journal of Medicine found that 90% of people who survive near lethal suicide attempts do not go on to die by suicide later. That's 9 out of 10. Why? Because the crisis passed, because something shifted, because they got help, because they realized that their perception in that moment that death was the only option was wrong. When researchers interviewed people who survived jumping from the Golden Gate Bridge, a pattern emerged. Almost all of them said the same thing. The moment my hands left the rail, I realized that everything in my life that I thought was unfixable was totally fixable, except for having just jumped. That tells us something profound. Suicidal crises aren't temporary, even when the pain isn't. The thoughts feel permanent. The hopelessness feels like truth. But it's not. It's a symptom of a brain in crisis. Let me ask you something. Do you actually want to die? Or do you just want the pain to stop? Because those are two very different things. Most people who experience suicidal thoughts aren't romanticizing death. They're desperate for relief, for peace, for one single moment where their body doesn't hurt, their mind isn't screaming, and they can just breathe. If there was a button that could make the pain disappear, not in your life, just in the pain, you'd press it in a heartbeat, which means what you really want isn't death, it's relief. And relief is possible. Maybe not complete, maybe not permanent, but it's possible. Research shows that when people get adequate treatment for chronic pain, their suicidal ideation decreases significantly. For veterans, when they engage in evidence-based therapy for PTSD, suicide risk drops by 60%. 60% just from getting the right support. What if instead of, I can't live like this anymore, the question became, what would need to change for me to want to stay? Maybe it's better pain management. Maybe it's trauma therapy. Maybe it's connecting with others who understand. Maybe it's finding one thing that still brings you joy. Maybe it's just making it through today and then tomorrow and then the next day. I need to get personal with you for a moment. When you hear about a veteran you spent time with, someone you tried to help, and you find out they took their life, it changes you. When you see the news about another athlete who had everything the world says should make you happy, and they ended theirs, it shakes you to your core. It makes you think, what more could I have done? What did I miss? How do we stop this? And that's why I wrote my book. That's why I started this podcast. It's why I became a life coach, because I wanted to help as many people as possible dealing with invisible illness step off that ledge, to know they are not alone, to understand that if I can work through my demons, and I have plenty of demons, believe me, maybe I can help others work through theirs. I'm not here because I have all the answers. I'm here because I've been in the darkness. I know what it's like to question whether staying is worth it. I know what it's like to fight battles no one else can see. And I'm still here. And if I'm still here, you can be too. But I also know this, I can't save everyone. No one can. And that's the hardest truth to accept. But maybe, just maybe, by sharing my story, by creating this space, by refusing to stay silent, I can reach one person who needs to hear it. And maybe that one person will reach another and another. And that's the ripple effect. Now, I know what you might be thinking. No one would really miss me. I'm a burden. They'd be better off without me. That's lying to you. Because here's what actually happens when someone dies by suicide. The people who love you don't feel relief. They feel devastation that never fully heals. They replay every conversation wondering what they missed. They carry guilt for the rest of their lives. They lose a piece of themselves they never get back. Your partner, your parents, your siblings, your children, your battle buddies, your friends. They don't think finally they're not suffering anymore. They think, I would have done anything to help them stay. And I didn't get the chance. When you share your story, you give permission for others to share theirs. When you ask for help, you make it easier for the next person to ask. When you keep going despite the pain, you become living proof that survival is possible. Your life means something, not because of what you achieve or what you produce, but because you're human, because you matter, because the world is better with you in it, even when you can't feel that, especially when you can't feel that. Let's talk about what to do when suicidal thoughts move from background noise to immediate crisis. First steps, reach out to right now, Veterans Crisis Line, 988, then press 1, or text 83825, National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, 988, Crisis Text Line, text HOME to 741741. You don't have to explain everything. You can literally just say, I'm not okay right now. I need help. Call a friend, a battle buddy, a family member, anyone. People want to help. They just don't know you need them. Second, delay. Tell yourself, I'm going to wait 24 hours before I make any permanent decisions. Suicidal crises are like storms. They peak and then they pass. If you can ride out the peak, you will feel different on the other side. Third, change your environment. If you're alone, go somewhere with people. Coffee shop, library, VA hospital, anywhere. If you have access to means of self harm, remove them. This isn't weakness, this is tactical. You're creating barriers between yourself and a permanent decision you can't take back. And fourth, use grounding techniques, box breathing. Inhale 4 counts, hold 4 counts, exhale 4 count, hold 4 count. This is the same technique used by special forces to stay calm under fire. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Name 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 you can hear, 2 you smell, 1 you taste. Splash your face with cold water or hold ice in your hands. This interrupts panic. Fifth, remember your reasons to stay list. Now I ask that you make one right now. Not big, profound reasons, small, specific ones. Your kids need you. Your dog needs you. Your battle buddies need to know you're okay. There's a sunset you haven't seen yet. Someone needs to hear your story. Small things are lifelines. Don't discount them. I want to share something with you, a concept that saved countless lives. It's called one more day. When the future feels impossible, when you can't imagine living like this for years, when the weight of forever is crushing you, don't think about forever. Don't think about years. Don't even think about next week. Just think about today. Can you make it through today? Can you make it to bedtime? Can you make it through the next hour, the next 10 minutes? Because here's what happens when you string together enough one more days. You wake up 6 months later and realize you're still here and something has shifted. Maybe the pain is slightly more manageable. Maybe you found a new treatment that helps. Maybe you connected with others who actually get it. Maybe you started therapy and it's working. Maybe nothing externally changed, but you changed. You got stronger. You learned to carry the weight differently. Or maybe nothing changed at all, but you survived anyways. And that counts for everything. There's a phrase in the military, the mission continues. Your mission isn't over. It's just different now. Your mission now is to survive, to heal, to support your battle buddies who are fighting the same fight, to show others that there's life on the other side. So maybe your mission right now is simple. Stay for one more day, just one. And when tomorrow comes, stay for one more day again. String together enough one more days, and suddenly you've built a life. It might not be the life you planned. It might not be the life you wanted, but it's yours, and it's worth living. Let me tell you what you are. You are proof that the human spirit can endure the unendurable. You are proof that strength doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers. I'll try again tomorrow. You are proof that pain, trauma, loss, and suffering don't have to have the final word. Every single day you choose to stay, even when staying is agony, even when you don't want to, even when hope feels like a lie. You are choosing life. You are choosing possibility. You are choosing to believe that maybe, just maybe, something can change. And that's heroic. You've already fought battles most people can't imagine. You've already survived what would have destroyed others. You're a warrior, a survivor, a fighter. So fight for one more day, and then another, and then another. The mission continues, and you're still in it. If you're listening to this and you're in crisis right now, please, please reach out. Veterans Crisis Line. Call or text 988 and press 1. Text 838-255. National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. Call or text 988. This is text line. Text home to 741-741. You are not alone. You are not a burden. You are not beyond help. This is painfully real, and I need you to hear this one more time. I'm glad you're here. The world needs you. Your people need you. And tomorrow needs you to stay. Just one more day. That's all I'm asking. Just one more day, and then we'll talk about the next one. You matter. You are loved. You are not alone. The mission continues. Please stay. And remember, suicidal thoughts are symptoms, not truth. The crisis will pass. You deserve to be here. The mission continues, and you are not alone.